Okay, we'd like to welcome you here to our candidates forum for the Omaha Tribal Council. This is being brought to you as a service of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, MAV Radio, and it's will be podcast on our radio show that we have called Native Honor Hours. That's a public service to the community. My name is Ed Zendejas. That's my show down on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And tonight we're going to have a candidates forum, and the candidates have graciously agreed to be here tonight. There was a series of questions that were presented to them, and they've been instructed as to the format of this, and we'd like to thank Marissa Cummings for organizing that, and Brother Taylor here for agreeing to moderate. So what we'll do is we'll go till about the top of the hour, and we have to take a short break, probably about 2 minutes. So if you want to keep track of the time on that, we'll take a short break and when it comes to the top of the hour, but we hope to be done here by 7 o'clock. So I'll turn the time over to Taylor and let the candidates begin. Thank you.
Check my sheet, brother.
Oh, sorry.
All right, good evening. Once again, my name is Taylor Keene. I'm a professor at Creighton University at the College of Business, and very glad to be here tonight and very encouraged to see so many faces. People are interested in the public process, and this is what our hope was to get people involved and get a chance to get to know the candidates better. The more people vote, better for all of us. So I think we'll just start on this side down here. You've got 5 minutes, each of the candidates, to introduce yourself in whatever way you feel is appropriate and to lay out your general platform. That's your count.
My relatives, my name is Carlton LeCount. My Omaha name is Gainshinga.
They need to come up to the front.
Sorry. I'm going to have you come up here to the podium.
And I'd like to ask those that are older than me to forgive me and I apologize. I don't mean to offend anybody with anything that I might say. My name is Carlton LeCount. I currently work at the health center in quality assurance and in the administrative side of things. And I come from the Turtle Clan. My father's name was Charles Dean Edwards. He was adopted out as Bill Butters. He passed away in 1990. And my mom was Wahe. And I was adopted when I was 4 days old as well. And I grew up in central Nebraska for 7 years and then in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I started coming back to the reservation when I was about 18, 19 years old. It took 8 years to track down all the information to make the connection. And that was kind of the duration of my entire childhood, was going through that process. And I always knew I was going to come back. And I've been living here since 2009 when I graduated with my master's in American Indian Studies from the University of Arizona in Tucson. The areas that I focused my studies were federal Indian law and policy and Native nation building. I studied with some really good professors that are experts in federal Indian law and federal Indian policy. And I believe that I'm a fair and impartial person. I don't have any inherent bias against anybody, against any family. I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for my ideas and the things that I'd like to see. I do not drink, I do not use drugs. What I believe is sovereignty is an inherent right of tribes. It is not granted by the federal government. It does not come from the Constitution. It comes from the Creator. And even sovereignty in a Western sense, the idea of sovereignty comes from papal edict through the Holy Roman Catholic Church prior to the Reformation. So sovereignty is an inherent right of tribes and of American Indian people. It is not granted through the federal government. The federal government has only limited tribal rights through the course of history. I believe that our sovereignty comes from Wakanda through our sacred ways, our language, our sacred items, and the like. And I believe that the Indian Organization Act Constitution that we operate under does not serve the tribe currently. I believe that it's antiquated, it's outdated, and it sets up internal oppression and essentially horizontal colonialism, which is self-colonialism. And the reason why I believe that is because there's no separation of powers. There's very little avenue of redress by the community for perceived depredations against the government of the tribe. And I believe that it does a disservice to the tribe in the sense that the tribe is not able to fully exercise its sovereign rights because of it. Because there's a breakdown in administrative capacity, there's a breakdown in process, there's a breakdown in the ability of the tribe to be able to move itself forward. And I think that these problems are structural. It's not because of anybody, it's not because of any family, it's not because of any of those things. It's the structure that fosters the behavior and fosters the perception that people have of things. And so my platform that I have available, if people would like to take it, is that I would like to facilitate constitutional reform, to separate legislative and judicial powers, to define the role and scope of the tribal council, and to define the relationship of the council to the various governing boards that are delegated authority in order to build tribal infrastructural, administrative, and legal capacity to exercise the full scope of our sovereignty.
1 minute.
And I believe that this is a process that needs and deserves the involvement of the entire community. I would also like to facilitate the creation of a historical vision, which is a predecessor to a strategic plan for the tribe as far as designing a future and how the tribe is going to get there. And I also believe in developing strong administrative capacity through human resources, chain of command, and clear definition of roles. And I believe that the development of our human resource capabilities is very important, and that goes a long ways as far as promoting and serving education of the community and the employability of our community members. And I also believe that our tribal code needs to be looked at in terms of promoting economic development and economic sustainability.
Time.
Mr. Caillou, please.
What time Omaha you guys are bring? Longer the idila tea to the non idila green. La hour here gonna here Omaha and then don't stand Omaha here back here no. Don't monopoly no so. Come walk here, come. Good evening, everyone. All of you know who I am. Anyway, Orville Caillou. I'm a lifelong member of our reservation here, except for 6 years, and I went out, a boarding school type program in Boise, Idaho, and I think a lot of my beliefs still come from that period in my life. I'm a single parent. I have one child under the age of 18 left in my house, and the rest of my children, they're out. Some are getting in trouble, and others are doing good for the others are doing really good for themselves. I'm kind of proud of them. They chose to do what they wanted to do, and I back them up 100%, and I give them hell 100% too. So, but that's kind of my family background. I raised my younger ones from the time they were 4 years old up until now he's 16. But some of the moving on to some of the other things we're going to talk about tonight, some of the things we're going to talk, like the education. These are some of the questions that we were given. Economic development, constitutional reform, tribal council eligibility, whether anybody from off the reservation should be running for one of our seats. tradition, our language, and our culture. These things are all going to be talked about tonight. I'm going to wait until then to give you my thoughts on that. And I want to thank Marissa for setting this up, and Taylor, nephew, I want to thank you for the prayer. As Taylor could attest, I'm working on, I have been maybe 6-7 years. I inherited my father's staff, and I've been working on that. It's something I was told not to rush into from my grandmother, Maggie Johnson. I don't know if any of you knew her. But that's, something that's really important to me right now, and I do a lot of thinking about it. Sometimes I think I'm ready, and then I think I'm not. Something comes up I want to work on again a little more. It's not something I'm taking lightly, so and it's something I'm planning. And I may not do it. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I do pray as often as I can for everybody. I see families having a hard time, I pray for them.
1 minute.
And like I said, since I have 1 minute left, we're going to talk about all these things, and I'd like to defer my comments until they're asked to come up again. I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit to the people that don't know me, and I hope you get a lot of information, and when we're done, we need everybody to go vote. Everybody, as many people as we can, because with a low turnout, it's going to stay the same. We all need to change things around, on some of these questions. They're very good questions, and I think, it's things that can be worked on. Some of these have already been worked on, and
Time.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Parker. I'm here on behalf of Gwen Porter, and I'm here to read her platform. She kind of went in order, so I'll just read from there. For the education question, she proposes to emphasize on Omaha Nation's
I just might make
motto.
a suggestion. You'll have time to go through each of those. Maybe you might want to talk about her as a person and
Okay.
just kind of a little bit background about her. Maybe not everyone knows her.
Gwen Porter is the daughter of the late Antonio Vargas and Mary Vargas. She comes from the Honga clan. She has her bachelor's in social work, recently graduated from Briarcliff in May of 2011. She's our ICWA director here with Macy, and
Maybe you just talk about why you support her, what you've seen her as a person, as a leader, mother, whatever things might apply.
You just do a brief introduction. That's it, that's okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Ewe Wangale. My name's Eamon Sheridan. I come from the Lakota clan. My Omaha name is Pelia. And also, I've been the chairman here for the past 4 years, and also had sat in the capacity of as the treasurer for 2 years, and then also the vice chairman for 3 years. So I have quite a few years of experience, within the governing body here. But I think my platform, is going to be focused on the planning process of developing organization and administrative structure. There's a lot of, we have established planning committees and individual tribal programs, and this will assist in developing the stronger governing, administrative, and program infrastructure, and build a better capacity for these programs tribal programs to function at a higher level. This will also help the improving communication, coordination, providing services for the Omaha people by working together and not separately. And then also, within these committees, there's I believe that there's seven committees that are composed of this, and each of them have a role and responsibility that I believe that the tribal council has only oversight to within these committees, no authorization or of any way to do any to get in personal actions, personnel issues, but also to develop these so that make a possible expansions of to create establishing planning structure, develop strategic regarding the possibility of expansion over the adult jail, developing strategic renovation in current tribal facilities for purpose of creating new multi-purpose facilities such as the courts justice center, and include juvenile holding centralization intake, an assessment center for the courts and law enforcement, and organizational of justice system to maximize resources and create stronger cohesiveness and collaboration in serving the Omaha people, and also developing an organization chart and a structure that will allow the governing body and also the programs and to work together with the committees to create opportunities for the future of our people here. And then also prepare for the upcoming available grant resources such as CTAS. We have numerous of CTAS grants here that is creating an opportunity to help build these infrastructures, and these infrastructures to create the opportunity so that our law enforcement as well as our court are working together, creating a team effort where that for those that are possibly feel that they're not getting the fair justice within our court system or within our law enforcement. So these are mainly focused on my platform is developing a strategic plan to create an opportunity so that again individuals of the Omaha tribe will get the equal right to exercise their right, and also to utilize their ability utilizing the Constitution, and as well as strengthening the Constitution and allowing such as secretarial election to allow these amendments, addendums to happen here for the future. We rely on a lot of our community members, and maybe you're unaware of your enumerated power that you create the opportunity for each of us. And we're here expressing our forums, our platforms here, so that each of you can hear out and see what the endeavors and goals of ours for the future. So I appreciate your time. I thank the prayer for here, my grandpa here, and also Marissa for setting this up, give an opportunity to hear candidates and also questions that have been asked. I hope you will.
Our next is Councilman Miller, please.
Oh, Ilya Wongre. First of all, I'd like to say good evening to each and every one of you, and say thank you to each and every one of you for showing interest in our tribal government. My name is Jeffrey S. Miller. I'm from the East Sunday clan. My Indian name is Hashimali, the last one. I'm the son of Barbara M. Tyndall and the late Vern Miller. In the past 3 years, I served as a treasurer for the Omaha Tribal Council, the Omaha Tribe. As my term comes to an end, I would like to say thank you to my relatives for supporting me and giving me this opportunity to be a part of the tribal leadership. We are not done yet. Here are a few of the accomplishments that, while serving with the past 3 tribal councils. One of the main accomplishments I'm very proud of is the WIC building. The past, before I got on council, the WIC building and the WIC program, they were treated like stepchildren. They were placed here and there all over the reservation. And I thought, as myself, is to help our program because it helps our young ones. We had located it right down across from the C-store. We had opened the swimming pool this past summer after it was closed for 3 years. We were able to apply for new grants and receive approval to provide jobs for our tribal members. Rebuilding of fire and flood damaged homes. We currently have 8 homes coming up by the post office. We are in plans of expanding the Carlton Curtis Health Education Center. We reopened the C-store. That's something I'd like to push for our people to utilize it so we could expand it. Repairing our streets in our town of Macy. This past 30 days, we approved an allocation plan to pay off inherited debt. When I came into office, I didn't realize the financial condition that we were as a tribe. I would like to take this opportunity again to ask for your support to be re-elected to the tribal council. We are going in the right direction. We have a continued progress that I'd like to keep going. We are headed in the right direction of self-sufficient financially. We have a long ways to go, but it takes all our people to come together, and especially the tribal council to work as one to provide a better future for our children and our people. In closing, I'd like to congratulate the 4 other candidates here, and I wish you luck. I hope you know one day of my relation.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, we're going to go into our first question. And the time of response, Marissa, they have 2 minutes. Okay. So our first education is about education. Probably the most important thing, I think, for our tribe. I know the old folks used to tell me, get the best that you can. They used to tell me, education is something they can't take away from you. I know how important it is for us. So the question is, what, if anything, would you propose to increase attendance and graduation rates? Second part is, what, if anything, would you propose to increase college and vocational school attendance? Again, we'll start on the far left. Mr. LeCount.
You want me to come up here?
Yeah, please.
For education, I would like to address the second part first. I believe that to increase college and vocational school attendance, that a big part of that should be a strong employee development program through human resources, working in conjunction with Taro. Because I think that a lot of people have the perception that why get an education if it's not going to help me get a job? You know, and I'm not, you know, speaking for anybody in particular, but it kind of seems like that perception exists, and I believe that with employee development processes through human resources, that can be discouraged, that idea of things. And I think that the tribe could have something like a memorandum of agreement with, you know, NICC to promote classes for employees and for potential employees. And I believe that developing the employability and the human resource capacity of the tribe is
1 minute.
should be a huge goal. And as far as the school, I'm not really sure what the relationship of the council to the school is in Macy, but I believe that there should be things that are done to promote attendance and graduation rates, even having like a trust fund for students that graduate, if that were possible. Yeah, please go home.
Mr. Caillou.
think, you know, to increase the graduation rates and attendance, you know, it's all of us that need to step up, us parents. That's where it all starts. You know, I don't know if you've all seen the sign down there, and it's, people have said it, you know, the education begins at home. I think stuff like that, you know, we need to pay attention to in getting our kids up, getting them off to school. I think the school should be safe from from staff, from each other, from everybody. I mean, the school should be safe so there's no other worry about getting their education. What was the second question? What, if anything?
Attendance and graduation rates.
Attendance, graduation rate. I think, you know, our brightest students should be encouraged. You know, we've had some really outstanding students in the last 2 or 3 years that have graduated from our high school down
One
here.
minute.
And, you know, I still see some of them walking around here. You know, I still see them getting in trouble. And a lot of it is their behavior. I mean, once they get on their own, you know, all the discipline and everything that was given to them, it just goes out the door. We need to, you know, get them to thinking healthy about themselves, about their families, you know, about their life. They're just starting. We got to let them know that once they graduate from high school, that their life's just starting, not just, I mean, they're just starting a whole new life, and they don't think that once they graduate. I mean, they start. So I'm just talking about you know, they need to do some healthy thinking. We need to do some healthy thinking with them, and, you know, work with them. Thank you.
Parker, do you want to read the statement on education from candidate 4, please?
Gwen Porter proposes to emphasize on Omaha Nation's motto, "Success begins at home." Her proposition is to increase attendance and graduation rates, which starts with community involvement and tribal support. That includes informing and educating family members and tribal resources of ways they can support their pre-graduate, such as self-discipline, financial management, and/or assessing the need. The second part, increase college vocational school attendance to promote the resources that are readily made available. Also to encourage potential students to consider the initiative of attending any college or vocational school, and to begin with intentions of completion.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Chairman?
I think for the first question, to increase the graduation rate, we'd allow to look at how can the tribe better create opportunities for the individuals. One is creating opportunity to allow their education to be seen and heard within the cultural and tradition within our community. The aspects of those that are giving them the opportunity to learn and also be able to utilize because of their future of being leaders in the capacity we are in today. So, and as well as that, utilizing, you know, the time to give them the opportunity to further their education, as well as creating incentives, you know, so that they're more allowing themselves to achieve their goals and opportunities in their endeavors. And then the other part of the change would be utilizing the community planning process to change the Part 100s and getting all of the community involved to create, you know, the amendments and changes to some of the educational values that we have today that we're dealing with, working along with the director to emphasize on how do we better utilize the NICC College to create opportunities so that those that are working on establishing, creating their, increasing their grade point average so that they can further go on into maybe a university, or also come by the education of coming by a scholarship.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilman Miller, please.
I agree with some of the comments that were made by the candidates that education starts at home, but it also starts from the top in the school system. In the past 3 years serving on the school board, we've been having trouble finding the appropriate superintendent, principals, and teachers to come down and teach our children. Serving with the school board, we need to have a better collaboration with the tribe. We had started that in regards to the Head Start program. But it does eventually start with our parents. A lot of our parents, they rely upon the grandparents to take care of our children. And our grandparents, sometimes, they don't have the opportunity or they don't have the transportation to come down and make sure the children, grandchildren are attending school. Just the school, Omaha Nation, and the Walt Hill Public School System,
1 minute.
they had recently received a state grant that helps in this area. We had 20 positions that we filled this past year with the Omaha Nation Public School. And the Walt Hill Public School is something that we also need to collaborate with them. With the college and vocational, I believe that's the individuals setting themselves as goals to achieve the higher education. But it starts from the tribe and supporting them, making sure that we do have funding available for them. So with that, I say thank you for listening.
Thank you, Counselor. The next topic is around economic development, and this is where my role within the nation pertains. I'm the chairman of the Black Bend Corporation, which is a corporation that's chartered to handle all of our hospitality businesses, which includes the casino. Several things have happened in the past that have made that a challenge for the nation. One is, which is due to poor reporting requirements. We basically received a small violation that if we didn't fix it, they wouldn't allow us to game. Now, as we all know, that's about the extent of what we have for economic development today. So it's a very important asset for us. We created a new corporation. I was asked to help with that. I've done a lot of this type of work before, and we feel like we built a really solid effort. However, we had some financial challenges as we came into this, and these is important for all you citizens to understand. But previous administrations had left us with a level of indebtedness that is still about $1 million. And weren't paying our bills, weren't paying our vendors, and real hard for us to do business moving forward. So the overall question here for each of the candidates is, what do you propose to ensure for the short-term and the long-term viability of the casino? Given the increasing gaming competition, what other forms of economic development would you propose? So one is, how are we going to take care of the golden goose, which is our casino? It's jobs and money for the tribe. And the second, it's an important trend to think about how we diversify beyond that. Well, again, we'll start down to the left, Mr. LeCount.
I believe that the tribal council, the gaming commission, and the leadership of the casino need to have a lot of open communication, and that people who are hired to do their jobs need to be allowed to be able to do their jobs based upon their qualifications. And I believe that there shouldn't be political interference. There needs to be safeguards against political interference in that process. And for the second part of the question, I believe that a community economic needs assessment should be done to determine the amount of income that comes into the county and where it goes and what types of businesses the tribe could be able to support. And I also think that the tribal code needs to be looked at to adapt universal business code applications, and also a contract dispute resolution mechanism for like a limited waiver of sovereign immunity, guaranteeing that contracts will be upheld. But it will also put it back into our jurisdiction, which would uphold our sovereignty and promote our sovereignty. And I also believe that there should be micro
1 minute.
lending programs looked into through like Omaha Nation Enterprises to promote individual tribal entrepreneurship. But the tribe needs to have the legal and administrative and governmental infrastructure to be able to promote development and sustain development without political interference being involved in that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pass. Mr. Caillou.
You know, this is gonna, I understand that the casino has already been, you know, work has already begun on the building. You know, that's the easy part. I think the part is running the casino, you know, we need a good plan. You know, start out with an assessment, and I've heard it called a feasibility study. I've heard of one, but I've never seen them. I don't know what the feasibility study said. You know, you need to seek out the capacity or build the capacity within our resources and our people, or bring the people in. You know, you need a good plan. You can't just go into it knowing what the problem is and, you know, don't get ready for it. Just, you know, go to the end solution. You know, you need to implement your plan. You need people that have the capacity. You need to constantly evaluate your progress, or, you know, what needs to be fixed. You should be constantly tweaking. In the event, you know, because of the gaming industry in this area is so saturated, you know, other economic development, you know, we're not ready for it. We're not, you know, we need the basic services such as the law enforcement, the fire department. You know, we need good roads, we need utilities, reliable utilities. You know, just things like that. Because nobody's going to come in with a lot of this lacking. I mean, there's a lot of things we need. We could use a laundromat, even car wash and stuff like that. The C-store could be improved. But without these, you know, basic needs that every community has, nobody from the outside is going to come in and want to, you know, start a business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caillou. Parker, you're going to read a statement on behalf of candidate Porter, please.
Gwen Porter proposes to ensure long-term viability of the casino is to consider Carter Lake for another location for a casino. Other forms of economic development is to expand our Class II casino currently in operation, explore and elaborate in agriculture, and seek investors that are willing to work with the tribe in providing training and economic self-sufficiency.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. On behalf of candidate Porter, Mr. Chairman.
In order to allow the casino to have its viability, would it allow the Blackbird Bend structure organization of the governing body that has the oversight of it to continue with the 3 individuals that are currently on the board at this time, allow them to exercise, you know, their authority and the trust that the tribe had invested in. But in order also to increase those them values as well, is that, you know, we would also look at, you know, the opportunity in order to meet the economic development needs of the tribe as an organization. The tribe will consider the development of a private and nonprofit 501c3 organization. This will assist the tribe in several levels of including community economic development, project planning, and a special program grant resources, and meeting training and educational opportunities for the staff and development. That will allow them to, again, you know, use employees and tribal members to exercise, you know, your right, so that, you know, you're able to work, you know, as well as, you know, provide the opportunity, may it be, you know, in the casino gaming business, or may it be within agriculture, or may it be within, you know, the endeavor that you choose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilman Miller, please.
terms of economic development. In December, we're hoping and praying that we will have a temporary casino open. And in March, we plan on starting to build a new casino and hope to have that built in December 2013. In regards to other economic development, we have a Carter Lake property in Omaha, Nebraska that we need to look into. Like Relative Orwell had mentioned a feasibility study to see what we could do down there in the Omaha area. We need to support our C-store, our poor, pitiful C-store. We've been funding it for the past 3 years, ever since I came in office. And to mention that we did receive a settlement of $10 million, over $10 million. Two major uses to proceed is the debt reduction and to rebuild our tribal enterprises. Unfortunately, the flood has caused a lot of damage to our casino and to our homeland here. Just to cut it short is that we need to start working together as a council and putting our ideas together and moving our people forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. The next topic has to do with constitutional reform. So why is that a topic? Our Constitution that we have comes from the Indian Reorganization Act from 1934. The good news about what happened with the IRA Act was that it ended the horrible policy of allotment, what that did. Of course, we know allotment took a large part of our land base being owned by the tribe, put us onto individual allotments, and the rest went open. That's why we have what we call a checkerboard reservation. So the bulk of the people living on a reservation are non-Indian. So it ended that policy, but the policy was basically established so that the government could have one body to negotiate with. In my opinion, if you look at those IRA governments, that is what's the matter with Indian country. And many tribes at this time are going through and redoing their constitutions. It's an opportunity to look back into the past at how we used to govern ourselves. We have representatives from all of our clans, all of them, not just the 7 that were seated. I've done a lot of research on this. It's an opportunity to get more people involved. We're going to go into a number of those questions here. I just wanted to give a couple of examples of what it's done for various tribes. So one is one of our cousin tribes, the Osage. They went through a full constitutional reform. Theirs was even worse than ours. Their citizenship rights were based on head rights because they had all that oil money, to the point that the largest voting bloc within the Osage Nation was the Catholic Church. They were all Catholics, you know. So now they've got a new government. They've got separation of powers, meaning under the IRA government there is not a separate judiciary. The court is not separate. In principle, each of these branches of the government are meant to be a check and balance on one another. So under the IRA government, we don't have a separate executive branch either. Of course, we're in a national election right now, and that means president. But the president and Congress and the Senate should be a check and a balance. So properly, the way that I would see things coming out is we'd have a separate judiciary that had its own money, so it would be immune from politics, that there would continue to be a legislative branch that had counselors, and that we would have a chief, maybe a principal chief, deputy chief, and different opportunities. I just got the 1 minute sign. So first question, what changes, if any, would you support? Separation of governmental powers into 3 branches, legislative, executive, judicial. Yes, no, and why? Mr. LeCount?
Take a break after this question.
I would just like to start by saying that I believe that the IRA was essentially created for administrative convenience of the BIA and the federal government, and delegating resource allocation and financial allocation to tribes, and that it serves to perpetuate the extension of federal power and authority over tribes. And it's not necessarily a representational body of the community. And I think that that needs to be reversed so that the tribal constitution can promote the interests and the will of the community and not just a delegation of power to the tribe by the federal government over its people. And I would definitely propose separating judicial and legislative and executive government, but not necessarily to 3 branches, but at least 2. And I believe that that's a process that the community needs to be highly involved in, and there needs to be an attempt at consensus building through that. Because I believe that our sovereignty is underserved by not having a separation of powers, and that by separating the powers, we're actually going to promote our court, which is the physical, on-the-ground manifestation of our sovereignty. And it won't be under political control or potential political interference. I mean, because that's always there when it's constitutionally created the way it is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Mr. Caillou.
I guess as far as the 3 branches that we're talking about, you know, I would support any an executive branch, you know, simply because, you know, a lot of we pick our chairman with 7 people. You know, that's not hearing our voice. I think if you're gonna run for chairman, or you wanna be chairman, you should run for chairman. You want to run for vice chair, you should run for vice chair. You know, and make it, you know, just a separate election. During our election, you know, there's 2, elect the council and the officers. I know some tribes are doing it, you know, with the chairman, vice chairman, secretary, and treasurer. If you want to be in that position, you run for it. And, you know, that's the only thought I have on that, you know, because I've heard a lot of pros and cons about it.
1 minute.
And, you know, the only thought that kept coming to me was, you know, why let 7 people pick our chairman when, you know, I think we should, as the people, pick our chairman, our vice chairman. And then, you know, as we do constitutional reform, you know, we can keep, like I said, we got to keep tweaking everything now, because we're so far behind with everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caillou. Ms. Parker, on behalf of the candidate for
Gwen Porter supports constitutional reform. The Omaha tribe has and continues to operate under the IRA, Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, with little to no revisions made to the Constitution. Consider our Hulaga, and when we become familiar with its functions, our tribal history indicates that all the power did not lie within one governing body. It was the whole tribe. Our current Constitution does not allow the separation of powers. It has established an alien political system on our culture, beliefs, and traditions.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Mr. Chairman, please.
That in the platform here, the planning process here is allowing the reorganization of the structure so that the executive or the legislative body would be able to utilize, you know, to bring forth the opportunity to create the amended changes, you know, within the Constitution, and allowing the secretarial election to have its opportunity to exercise. And as being, you know, here as at a stagnant state here within our Constitution, I believe those are some of the strengths here that we need to work on and create the opportunity so that, you know, there is, you know, the legislative body and also I am for the executive body as well, so that the executive part can be working on all of the executive processes, being able to go into the different, maybe nation to nation or agency to agency, creating an opportunity to better the planning process to bring in proper resources
1 minute.
and revenue to the tribe. So, and also the judicial system, you know, is also taking the opportunity here. We already have grants and planning dollars for that. Now we need to establish and create the opportunity to allow the judicial process to operate as within its judicial structure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Miller, please.
What changes would any if I would support in regards to the constitutional reform? I'm open to any and all changes, but we need you as our constituents to come out and vote. I know the last secretarial election, I believe we only had 79 individuals that had voted, and we had made some changes. But to me, it's up to the people to make this change and to get involved and show your voice by voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I believe we're going to take a break right now. We will start promptly in 5 minutes, 6 p.m. sharp. Please be seated back here. We've got to be quiet for the camera. Thank you. 5-minute break. Where's those Indian tacos?
Right, Omaha? It's a fundraiser.
We're back to 5 minutes. Well, I don't know.
Like my 1 minute.
We're right at halfway. We'll make it just.
I need to reintroduce.
Got it.